Hello everybody, my name is Christian, and today we are going to be talking about March 7th, The Hunt. If you've been around my channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love March 7th. Not only is March one of my favorite characters, but also I really like using March Hunt specifically since I have Fei Xiao and they are just a match made in heaven if you don't have a well-built Topaz or a Topaz at all. March overall is just like such a fun character. I love her personality. I love what she does for the group dynamic. I've talked about all that before, but today we are really going to get into what makes her so good, essentially, and why I feel like she is easily one of the best designed characters in this entire game. And I know that this is not an opinion that just like I have, because a lot of people have actively been praying that when we inevitably get more 4 stars, haha, please. Anyway, but when we inevitably get more 4 stars, people want them to be designed like March specifically. Not like anybody else, because March has just such a good design that if you've noticed, if you pay attention to like pre-to and tier list at all, look at where March is. March has been there for a while. March has been in this realm of character for a very long time at this point, because she is just so good and so helpful. It's incredible, like, what they've done with this character, and how well she continues to hold up, because it's getting to a point now. I've seen, like, if you go into one of the changelogs for Predwin, there is actually a world where March is about to be higher up than Topaz, despite them both serving a similar purpose, because just how well March does and how meaningful March's kit is to a lot of good characters. But yeah, so getting back to this, it's just, I have done a whole video talking about free characters that were dominating Star Rail. This was a while ago at this point, and obviously, things have changed a little bit. Harmony MC has kind of been outpaced by Fugue now, dropped off a little bit, just a little bit, but still, that is one of 2 sources of consistent super break in the game, so always a bit hard to argue with. That is still extremely helpful. Then we also talked about Dr. Ratio. Dr. Ratio, unfortunately, is also falling off because not only is he just an older character, he was released in like 1.5, 1.6, I think, so he's a bit older, his kit is going to be weaker, but also there are not many other characters being released that are catered to his specific style of play. Moz was a good addition for him, because, you know, Moz automatically applies a debuff, that's huge for Ratio, and he's the follow-up archetype, which is exactly what you need. But outside of that, there wasn't really a lot else for Dr. Ratio to work with. And yeah, the way this game works, you're gonna inevitably fall off. That's the progression of time, baby. Yippee. Anyway, so today I just kind of want to talk about March. We're gonna go through all of her basic abilities, we're gonna actually just talk about all the character stuff normally for whoever may not have March or whoever just hasn't really looked at what March can actually do. Then we're going to talk about the actual design aspect of it. So because I'm just going to be going over some basic info to start with, if you want to get more into like the kind of analysis, quote unquote, then skip to this part of the video. Again, I just want to do this part early on because there are some people who may not understand the character that much or who just haven't really seen her. Again, I like to cater a lot of things to newer players with this, so I want to get that out of the way and then we can talk more about the design aspect. Alright, with that said, let's get into it. As we can see here, March 7th Hunt is a 4-star imaginary character who follows, get ready for this one, the path of the hunt. Incredible. So scrolling down here, let's start with the basic attack. So, okay, also, admittedly, I wanted to go over all of this basic stuff because I never really paid much attention to these move names. They are very funny. So, basic attack, my sword zaps demons. At level 6, we're going to assume that all of these things are max level. Deals imaginary damage equal to 100% of March 7th's attack to a single enemy, and it gets her 1 point of charge. If you're wondering what charge is, well, we'll kind of get into that in a second, but it is an essential thing that March needs for her to actually be a good character. So now we go into her basic attack enhanced. Brows be smitten, heart be Spit it. What is this? Initially deals 3 hits, each causing imaginary damage equal to 80% of March 7th's attack to a single target enemy. After dealing the final hit, there is a 60% fixed chance to deal 1 extra hit up to a max of 3 extra hits. Energy regenerated from using Enhanced Basic Attack does not increase with the number of hits, and Enhanced Basic Attack cannot recover skill points. So pretty good, and this is the kind of main forte of what March does. Everything she is kind of focused on is she wants to get her Enhanced Basic Attack as soon as possible because of how powerful it is. Her Enhanced Basic Attack is just unbelievably strong, and especially if you have a good buffer on your team, Jesus Christ, that damage can add up an astronomical amount. Not to mention, there are ways to get additional hits, which we're going to discuss in a few seconds. So moving on to skill, Master It's Tea Time. Designates a single ally, excluding this unit, as Shifu, and increases Shifu speed by 10%. Only the most recent target of March 7th skill is considered as Shifu. By the way, this never wears off, so you can just have March put this on one person and you never have to use your skill again. When using basic attack or dealing 1 hit of enhanced basic attack's damage, triggers the corresponding effect based on the specific path of Shifu. If they are Erudition, Destruction, The Hunt, or Remembrance, deals additional damage type based on Shifu's combat type, equal to 20% of March 7th's attack. Then, if your Shifu is Harmony, Nihility, Preservation, or Abundance, increases the toughness reduction of this instance of damage by 100%. That is insane. And just for later, because I've talked about this a lot, just for later so we all know, this is part of why March is such an incredible character. This is one of my favorite things in the entire game. We are going to get into this later. Next up is her ultimate, March 7th, the Apex Heroine. Deals imaginary damage equal to 240% of March 7th's attack to a single target enemy. Increases the initial hits per action of the next enhanced basic attack by 2 hits. And increase the fixed chance of additionally dealing damage by 20%. That is really good. And like I said, this is how you get your extra hits. Because now you're getting 5 hits that are all going to do 80%. So now you've just jumped from like, what is that? You've jumped from 240%. What is that, 400? Yeah, so you've jumped from 240 to 400% guaranteed of March 7th's attack. Not to mention, you have a chance to get 480% at 80% now, so it's very, very likely. And it's like, yeah, okay, so that's a bit of a chance thing, and that's not fun, and I bash a lot of characters for having that. But the thing is, though, is that 80%, that is much, much, much better. And we're going to get into it a bit later. You will almost always be able to get your ultimate off beforehand. So, next up is Talons. Master I've Ascended. After Shifu uses an attack or ultimate, March 7th gains up to 1 point of charge each time. Upon reaching 7 or more points of charge, March 7th immediately takes action and increases the damage she deals by 80%. Her basic attack gets enhanced and her skill can no longer be used. After using enhanced basic attack, consumes 7 points of charge, but charge is capped at 10 points. So this is essentially the same thing as many Erudition characters who have a set amount of things they need to hit to actually trigger their follow-up attack. Like, for example, Himiko. She needs to have 3 enemies broken. The thing that sucks about Himiko is that it is always capped at 3. March is not. March can actually go a little bit over, and they've been doing that with more of the characters, which I think is just a wonderful quality of life thing. Like, okay, we could live without it, but it's just a nice thing to have. And last but not least, Technique. Feast in one go. If March 7th is on the team, she gains 1 point of charge at the start of battle whenever an ally uses said technique, up to a max of 3 points. After using her technique, March 7th regenerates 30 energy when the next battle starts. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Let's think about this real quick. March has an energy cost on her ult of 110. In all the endgame game modes, you start with half your energy. So that is, what is that, 55? 55 plus 30, because you'll have a free skill point to use. And then, Master It's Tea Time gives 30. You are capable of starting every single battle with your ultimate, basically. That's funny. March is a great character. Alright, so, as per usual, the amazingness doesn't end there. We are now going to move on to major traces. On her A2, Swan Soar. When the battle starts, March 7th's action is advanced forward by 25%. Nothing amazing, but pretty good. And not to mention, it allows you to get your skill off on your Shifu. Solid. Next up, A4, Filigree. March 7th can reduce the toughness of enemies whose weakness type is the same as Shifu's combat type. When breaking weakness triggers the imaginary weakness break effect. Okay, that's normal. That is very, very good for break team specifically. Because now you don't need to worry about it as much because March can just automatically match Shifu's combat. So you don't need to worry about getting more toughness reduction overall since they can both just hit the same thing. Last but not least, A6, Tide Tamer. After using enhanced basic attack, increases Shifu's crit damage by 60 and break effect by 36, lasting for 2 turns. What the hell? Yeah, we're gonna save this for the analysis part, but yeah, that's broken. that's objectively broken. Here are her minor traces. I don't really need to get into these, I feel, so just there you go. And now lastly, Eidolons, which I would like to remind everyone, every March 7th hunt Eidolon is free. You just need to complete the 2 events correlated to her. And they're both not hard. So keep that in mind. So, E1, my sword stirs starlight. What? Billy's about to come out the shadows, I swear to God. When Shifu's on the field, increases March 7th speed by 10%. So now instead of just having Shifu be faster, now March is faster too. E2, Blade dances on Wave's fight. After Shifu uses basic attack or skill to attack an enemy target, March 7th immediately launches a follow-up attack and deals imaginary damage equal to 60% of March 7th's attack to the primary target of this attack. Additionally, triggers the corresponding effect based on Shifu's path and then gains 1 point of charge. If there is no primary target available to attack, then attacks a single random enemy instead. This effect can only trigger once per turn. I am not joking when I say if they took off that last little part where this effect can only trigger once per turn, March would be even better. March would be in like T0. So then E3 and E5, Sharp Wit and Martial Might and Sword Delight's Sugar Blight are simply just skill ultimate talent upgrades. E4, Being Fabulous Never Frights. At the start of the turn, regenerates 5 energy. Pretty good. Moving on. E6, Me, the Best Girl in Sight. After using ultimate, increases the crit damage dealt by the next enhanced basic attack by 50%. That is pretty good. That is really, really helpful for March. So there we go. That is March 7th's kit, all kind of laid out just for reference so everybody has it. So now let's actually talk about just the design aspect of this. Because Jesus Christ. March 7th Hunt is just such a unique character overall. Because not only is she just a good attack unit, but it's also the fact that this is a 4-star who does what I feel 4-stars should be. A, she fills a gap. She fills a gap for those with Doctor Ratio, Fei Xiao. She fills a gap of a teammate that pairs well with those characters so that you can have a more complete team if you're not getting, like, Topaz. There you go. Now you have March. And then the next thing, March is built as a sub-DPS. Like, obviously, she is built to do damage, and that's great. March is really good at that. But all of her abilities are designed around enhancing the unit she's alongside. So she is meant to be the second star of the show. And that in itself is just such good design. Because a lot of 4-stars, if you design a 4-star as a primary DPS, there's no reason to use them. There is no reason for that character to exist. Because why in God's name would I be using Misha over the Herda? There is no reasonable world where that should happen. Okay, we're not looking at the crazy people who do it for MOC. They don't count. But if I'm a normal player of this game, of course I'm going to use the Herda. Because they're both supposed to be the star of the show, but, like, why would I want Misha then? Because he's just going to be weaker. March 7th, she rectifies this issue so much because she's designed perfectly to play with someone else. And the thing is, though, is that because of the way that her ability to play with others is made, she can still play on her own. That's the most impressive part. Because once again, we need to talk about it. Let's look at March 7th's skill. So as we already went over, March gets a different buff based on who her master is and what path they follow. So for Harmony, for all the non-damaging paths besides Nihility, you get a toughness reduction increase. And then for all the damaging paths, you get an additional 20% of your attack on your enhanced basic. This is just so big because looking at what this skill does, obviously it'll increase Shifu's speed. That's going to be helpful for any character in the game. That's obvious. But also, because of the way this specific thing works, you can turn March into a sub DPS of anything you need. Because now she's not just capable of playing with follow-up teams. Because of this, she is now capable of being in break teams. There is almost no other character in this game who is capable of being a great character for both of those primary team types. It's like, the first example that can come to mind is like Ron May, because she has a great damage boost and a speed boost, but then also her main thing is increasing break duration and increasing weakness break efficiency. These are both incredible things, but it allows her to kind of be malleable to whatever team you want. And March has this same ability. And again, what's so impressive about this is that you can use this just to enhance March herself, because I have seen multiple solo March teams with her as the carry. Because this ability, you can use this on your Harmony. So now they're even faster. They're going to be able to help you out even more and buff you more. Not to mention, you're still getting a good buff out of it. And now, March has still gotten her speed boost because, reminder, E1 exists, and you get it for complete free, so you're going to have an E6 March. The way that March is built lends herself so perfectly to being a sub DPS, but allows her to also kind of do whatever else you need. Because if you really want her to be your primary DPS, she can, and she'll be better at it than almost any other 4-star. Probably any other 4-star in the game, actually, right now. I don't think most others can really compete with if you've built your March as well as you can and you have the optimal supports around her. This skill overall is just so incredible. And it's sad that we haven't seen anything like it since March. Because the idea of a skill essentially making a character just a blank canvas that can be molded to whatever you need is incredible. And it gives so much more creativity and freedom. And it's stuck on only March. She's the only one who has something like this. And that's so unfortunate. I just don't understand why we have not taken this manner of ability and used it in more places. We're gonna go off the skill now. So now let's talk a bit more about kinda the enhanced basic attack and just also what March does as a sub DPS that makes her so perfect. March's whole thing is she wants her enhanced basic attack as much as possible. It is going to be her main source of damage, and it's going to be a big source of damage. Because if you have a completed March 7th overall, first of all, March 7th immediately takes action and increases the damage she deals by 80%. So now you're getting 80 more percent on a minimum of 240% of March 7th's attack. Then, if you use her ultimate, you're getting automatically 2 more hits. Now you're up to 400%. And now you're getting 80 more percent on 400% of March 7th's attack. Then, you are now increasing your fixed chance to get another hit up to 480% of March 7th's attack. You're getting that fixed chance up to 80%. Pretty high. That is really, really good. And then, all of this comes together. So now you have March 7th's primary attack option, which is already incredibly powerful. That is an amazing move. And on top of all of this, reminder, after using enhanced basic attack, increases Shifu's crit damage by 60 and their break effect by 36, lasting for 2 turns. My god, that's incredible. Also, let's look at this real quick. The energy gain on March 7th's basic attack is 30. Her ultimate only costs 110, and with her Eidolons, she gains 5 energy every single turn. It's incredible. Like, this character is built to just constantly pump out damage and constantly get her main gimmick. Everything about her contributes to getting that main gimmick. And it's like, oh, okay, well, other characters could do this if they had their idol, but that's the thing. They don't. March, the way March was designed was to be a free character. Completely free, not just a free-to-play available character. So not just you pull for them in the gacha and then there you go, you get 4 stars. She was built to be completely free and completely available to every single player who plays this game. So, really what they did was, instead of just completely cluttering this, you get all the Eidolons, and this is what actually makes the complete character, because they know any reasonable person will have all the Eidolons, because they're completely free, and you need to play those events either way to get the oh-so-precious Stellar Jades to get your next 5 stars. The way this character comes together is just so perfect, and she, because of all these things, she manages to always accomplish the purpose she sets out to do, while also being helpful still. It's just amazing what they've managed to do with this one character, making her a sub DPS in frickin', what was it, 2.4, I think she came out? They've managed to do such a good job with her, and then ever since then, we haven't even seen another 4-star, because realistically, I don't think they can ever stack up to this level of design, especially not on a 4-star. 5 stars, there's a chance. Like, we've seen things like the Herda, we've seen Aglaya. Well, Aglaya, we don't need to get into that, that's rough. But we've seen things like the Herda, and then, like, Sunday was pretty well designed. I feel like Fei Xiao was pretty well contained. They came out around the same time, but there is really just, it's so hard to stack up to what they've made on this character. She works so well. She can work in so many different ways. She can rise up to the occasion, or she can be a perfect secondary option. It's incredible. Everything about her just comes together so well, and yeah, I really love what they've done with March. I know a lot of other people have as well, and it's just, it really is just, I feel like, a masterclass in design. And it was, again, it's just shocking that it's used on like a 4-star. But March's best girl in story, she deserves it. That's a joke. Don't come from it. Don't come from it. I kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent there, just screaming, so I apologize for that. But I feel like I've covered most of what I want to cover. But overall, just, again, I really love how everything in this kit kind of consistently plays into each other. It's really well done. It's really impressive. And just, it's a lot of fun to use, especially, like, I feel like we can't forget that, is just, it's also really fun to use. March 7th is a super good character to play with. I love using her in Fei Xiao teams. I know a lot of people use her in break teams too. It's just, they've really managed to just make such a good character. And, yeah, we're never gonna see it again. At least that's what it feels like, you know? There's a world, but I'm not confident. Anyway. But yeah, so that's kind of the extent of my thoughts for today. I really just love March. I wanted to talk about this because as much as I've talked about March in the past, she is completely deserving of getting her own video. I feel like if I'm just gonna be sitting here ranting, I might as well rant about the characters I like, because I've done a lot of negativity recently. So, you know, we need to spice it back up a little bit. We need to get some positivity in the building. And who better than the bubbly girl herself, March. Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for today, so I hope you guys enjoyed. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. I'm working on a lot of things right now, so we'll see what actually comes out in any reasonable amount of time. But hey, that's life. I hope you guys look forward to the next video, and I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.